So imagine generating $150,000 from one open house.
Right.
Sharing with real estate agents how to grill loan officers, the setting expectations, there's maybe...
And we all know rate is important, right? Because that is a part of the calculation, but is that the only thing? So, hey everybody, Sean here. Welcome to another episode of the Rise by Renown Mortgage Podcast. Today, I am stoked. We've already been talking and it's been amazing. So this is going to be a great show. So stick around, like, share, subscribe, all the fine things. You're going to be happy you did. So today, my guest, Adam Cothes with EXP and a million other things. And hopefully we'll touch on and get into some of it today. Adam, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Man, I couldn't be better. I am doing fantastic. Yeah.
It's true. Hey, we were talking earlier. I mean, one of the reasons that I am genuinely excited to have you on is I obviously got to experience you and your teaching and training and master classes years ago and for years. And so having people who come on the podcast who are going to bring some value and add some value, I mean, that's the heart, and you fit that bill 100%. One of the things that we were talking about, I just kind of want to jump right in because we were using, as we were leading into this metaphor of kind of the pond. And it sounds like, early in your career, you kind of fell into a pond. You weren't really aiming for it, but you by happenstance drew a circle and you kind of fell into this pond. And I imagine, and I want you to kind of share the story, but I want to talk a little bit about the mindset. How did you navigate that as you kind of went from like, well, here's where I am in this small pond and went to a big pond? So I know we're being a little vague right now, but we'll put some color to it. So hang with us and strap in, grab a notebook, people, you're going to need it. So Adam, talk to us a little about that and talk about your journey.
Well, yeah, let me roll it back just to the very beginning. When I got into real estate, I was in the corporate world, and it was an accident in a sense. I was calling real estate agents and selling them marketing. So I worked for a company called Market Leader,
Okay.
which was the division of Trulia before Zillow bought Trulia for $3 billion.
Right.
So I called agents and found out that a lot of them weren't using a CRM, and they really were struggling to lead generate. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna get my license while I had this day job. And so I did that, and I started buying leads from myself, sneaking away to the bathroom, taking these leads calls while I was trying to work. It's this early 2014. And
Okay.
it was too much. And so I had a couple things pending, and I had a good pipeline. And so I put in my resignation, started going. But the truth is I didn't have a lot of money. I had a successful career before that, but there was some things that had come about that caused me to I didn't have a lot of money. And so I was putting everything on credit cards, January 2014, making cold calls. I took a class with Keller Williams called Bold, and I was cold calling, and they made us talk to 20 people a day. And so I used an auto dialer, and I was just talking to anybody I could talk to. And like I said, I drew a circle that was too big. So part of it is this class pushed me, and part of it is I was concerned about possibly defaulting on my mortgage. Like I needed the money bad.
Yeah.
I was not the guy you see today. I was struggling, but we're talking 70 hours a week that first and second year. Like I was determined to make this work. I wasn't going to leave it to chance. And so I drew it a little too big of a circle when I was making my call list, started landing some deals up in Bellevue and Kirkland. And these are listings that I was taking at my first year in business with very little experience.
Wow.
One or two of them, I pulled in a partner who was more experienced. And then after that, I felt pretty good, and I started taking stuff down. And, what I learned was that people are people, that, people that I perceived as wealthy are probably upper middle class. My definition of wealthy has changed now that I've met a few truly wealthy people.
Sure.
These are very different than somebody who owns two homes and might live in Bellevue. That's what I would consider upper middle class, maybe.
Right.
And so I moved. I put my house on the market after about a year and a half in real estate, and I was like, you know what? How can I achieve my goals faster? And I think at that point, my average price point, I sold 20 homes my first year, 22, 25, 28. So I never sold less than 20 homes in my entire career.
Wow.
And my first year, I got Rookie of the Year for Kirkland Keller Williams office. And my average price point was 250. So that whole year I sold 6 million in production.
Right.
And, these days I have a lot of months where I'll do that in 1 month, or at least a month and a half, 2 months. And so the way I did that was to shift to a different market.
Okay.
And I still help my friends or my past clients who are a little bit further out and they might have a lower price point or they send me to their relative. I'm happy to help those people.
Sure.
That being said, if I'm going to put forth money or time or effort to prospect, it's going to be with efficiency in mind.
Right. Right.
Meaning, I want to be in close to my home, number one. I live in Kirkland. I want to be
Yeah.
close to my home, Kirkland, Bellevue, Redmond, maybe
Yeah.
a little Bothell, maybe a little Newcastle, maybe Mercer Island, maybe
Right.
Seattle if I'm feeling generous.
Sure.
And, I want to be close to home and I want to work on price points.
Right.
And so, for years and years, I had a team, I didn't have a team. I had a team, I didn't have a team. We were spending $30,000 a month on Zillow at one point.
Yeah.
And, big time paid leads have always been good to me.
Yeah.
These days, I'm not paying for any leads. I'm not paying for mailers, although I have some things I want to try. I might be doing a little farm coming up, but the reality is all I do, it's very simple. Nothing earth shattering is I do open houses
Right.
and I call my past clients and I do events for my past clients and I get a few agent referrals here and there.
Yeah.
That's it. And that allows me to generate $1 million or more in top line revenue. I don't always
Right.
net that. We have
Right.
expenses, but
Right.
it makes me I live a very good life with
Right.
this. And the one thing that really changed my life, cold calling got me started, but I don't even do that anymore.
Right.
The thing that changed my life is open houses.
Wow.
You know, and most people have done some opens and had some success.
Yeah.
I have figured out how to break into luxury using open houses.
Okay.
And I don't think new agents should jump into that because you're dealing with a very sophisticated
Right.
buyer,
Right.
someone who probably has bought 5, 6 homes in their life. This is someone who you really need to know your stuff, but
Right.
you can work your way up into that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And, open houses, most people think they don't work because they haven't figured it out.
Right.
And most of the time they just haven't done enough.
Yeah.
Or they're not trying to do it in the right way.
Right.
And,
So
there's a certain way to do it.
right. So, well, let me touch on that really quick then, because you said, newer agents, one of the biggest things I'm hearing about your story was, I mean, you actually did a geographical shift to say, I'm going to kind of throw myself into the belly of the beast. This is where I am. Not all new agents are going to be able to do that. So there has to be a little bit of a mindset shift. I think I think Mike Renard. I talked to Mike Renard a few months ago. We were talking about the three legs. You've got your stool. You've got to have your three legs on your stool that you're going to sit on for your business plan. And if you do those consistently, regardless of whether you feel like it's working this month or not, if you do that consistently, those three legs, eventually you're going to break through and you're going to find that moment. And it feels like, you had your moment of breakthrough that was so compelling that you went, I need to geographically like immerse myself in this. How do you talk to, I mean, I know you've had teams in the past and you have several agents in your line. How do you talk to them about that mindset? Like, how do you get them into like, okay, listen, you've got to find your thing, stick with your thing, move that direction and keep going?
Well, the first thing I would say is everything works if you work. So most people do one of two things wrong. They jump too quickly or
Yeah.
they're not doing sheer volume towards
Right.
that activity.
Right.
Most people will do 2 or 3 opens a month.
Right.
If they wanna make open houses a thing, which by the way, I think almost everybody who's trying to generate business should.
Yeah.
Let's be fair, in Pierce County and certain areas, across the
Yeah.
country, if it's not a wealthy area, you might not always have the traffic you need at opens, and
Right.
so
Right.
I have some things I've worked out where I can get a much better likelihood of a client because I have builder relationships and some things, but the reality is, sometimes traffic's low, sometimes it's you, sometimes it's the market, sometimes
Yeah.
it's the house, and
Yeah.
so the only way to fix the fact that it could be you, it could be the market, it could be the house, is to do volume, like sheer volume, like unreasonable amounts of
Right.
volume.
That's awesome. Good word. Yeah.
Yeah, like for instance, if someone came to me and says, "Adam, I'm broke. How do I get to 100 or 200 or 300,000 of income in the next 1 to 2 years? I want to consistently make
Yeah.
250 grand a year. How do I do that?" I'm going to say, I can tell you, and you're not going to like it. And you don't have to do it forever.
Right.
So it's like real estate's like a big boulder that once it's
Yeah.
rolling, at this point in my career, I can gross $1 million and work 30 hours a week, 35 hours
Right.
a week. And that was not the case at first. I was grinding 70 hours a week to
Right.
make 150,000 a year. And
Right.
so eventually with some smarts and focused on price point, you can
Yeah.
go, but I would say 16 open houses a month might be a better number.
Mhm.
You can
Yeah.
do one on a Friday night. You can do Saturday from 11 to 1 and
Yeah.
Saturday 2 to 4.
Yeah.
And you could do that on Sunday. That's 5 in one weekend. And if you did that, 3 weekends in a row, that's 15.
Yeah.
And then you take a weekend off and you don't
Yeah.
burn out. And
Right.
now, hey, you're not divorced. You did it. But,
Right.
or you do it every other weekend and now you're
Right.
at 15 a month and you do
Right.
that for a year or two and then you can pull back. And
Yeah.
then the average person, if they're still not making money, they're either saying the wrong thing or they
Yeah.
are picking the wrong opens.
So touch on that a little bit for me. The difference between a successful open house and a not successful open house. Obviously, you touched on sometimes there's just variables we can't control, location, day, style. But
Yep.
what have
Well,
have
let's
you
assume we
unpacked
get
anything to
before
do
we
that?
get yeah, let's assume we get
Yeah.
some traffic. Let's assume somebody's coming.
Yeah.
Number 1, yes, open house signs work. Number 2, in today's modern day and age, they are less relevant than they used to be because people are on Redfin and Zillow. I will
100%.
never say don't put out a bunch of signs. Now, if you ask me, most of my people are tech people that up here, and I'm
Right.
putting out 3 signs. That's it.
Okay.
Now,
Right.
if you ask me if I was in a slower market where there's not enough traffic, I might put out 10 or 15. That
Sure.
might be a bigger portion of what I do.
Right.
But the bottom line is I am not going to be sitting down the whole time, chilling. If somebody comes in, I'm up, I'm talking to them, I'm leading with the house because if it's my listing, I got to sell that house. If I'm hosting an open house for another broker who trusted me, they want me
Right.
to sell that house. So the
Right.
first thing I'm going to do real quick is greet them and tell them a 30-second pitch about the house. And then I'm going to ask a few questions. How long have you been looking is probably my first question,
Right.
which is,
Right. Right.
are they a new buyer into the market or have they been looking for a year? If they've been looking for 3 or 4 months, it's probably not someone that I would have an opportunity to work with. If
Sure.
they've been looking for 3 or 4 days, it's probably unrepresented. Or if they've
Yeah.
been looking for a year or two, they're burned out with whoever their help is helping them. And so
Right.
uh, that one question alone helps me size up the opportunity. And then I typically will teach them something, whether it be on my computer or on my phone, about the city, about the area. Like one interesting thing that people talk about in Bellevue, Washington, which is one of the most expensive cities in the nation,
Right.
is did you know there's an A, B, C, and even a D neighborhood in Bellevue, Washington?
Wow.
And the prices follow that pattern and the school ratings follow that pattern. And people are
Yeah.
like, what? And I usually grab my phone and I just kind of show them this and that. And if you go here, if you cross this street and I can do it
Yeah.
without a script because I know the market.
Right.
And instantly, without talking about my sales, they understand that I'm a local expert.
Absolutely.
And if a new agent were to invest deeply in one area and become a hyper local expert, and actually learn the market and go preview homes and know every builder and know what this elementary changes the value from this elementary, or we're on the lake or we're not on the lake. This busy road or this power line changes the value by this amount of money. Like if they got that good, they would make money regardless of their past transaction history.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's the one thing that I've done is I've gotten very, very, very good in one or two areas. And then you say, oh yeah, by the way, I've sold 400 homes and, I happen to be in the top
Right.
25 for the
Right.
whole company I work for. But,
Right.
that's just me putting the icing on the cake. If I
Right.
move to a new market, I've always kind of like eating sour candy. It tastes good and it hurts your mouth. I would
Right.
kind of like to move to a new market and just
Right.
prove that I still got it.
Right.
And and I would basically follow the same technique as I would
Right.
go and learn the market. I'd meet with agents, I'd meet with builders, I'd figure out the good areas and the bad areas, and I'd
Yeah.
get my pitch down within 3 months. I would be rocking again. And
Yeah.
that's the thing is most people don't have a good pitch because they're not adding value. What is the value that people want? They want local expertise.
Right.
That's what they want. And
Absolutely.
the simple thing, and by the way, I had a new agent that I coached last year or the year before was his first transaction, and he was doing top end first time homebuyer price point. And in Bellevue, that's around 2 mil.
Right.
Like you get about 2.2, 2.3, 2.5. You're probably button up against move up buyer, but he's
Right.
at about two, kind of an old fixer upper, $2 million home. And
Right.
he pulled first client from an open at 2 million.
Wow.
First house, first deal was $2 million. And
Wow.
so to say that you have to be experienced to pull this off is just not the case.
Right. No, I think that's really valuable, that just the consistency of like, listen, you pick your lane, you're going to become a local expert and you just stick to it. This is what you're going to do. Commit to the bit. I'm wondering if we can document if you decide to move to a new city and just start all over from is
That's
that,
so
you could be, it's like, remember, I think there was that show where they dropped the multimillionaire into the middle of a city with no money. Yeah.
undercover top producer.
Adam, you
So
may have a show. You might have a show.
yeah,
I remember.
well, and here's the thing. I have a friend of mine in Lake Havasu, Arizona. He's only 3 years in the business, and he's on pace to make $2 million this year net.
Wow. Wow.
And he does it because he takes this open house concept. He's good at opens. He's not great, but he's very good.
Yeah.
But what he's great at is he door knocks 8 hours around the open, 4 hours on a Wednesday, 4 hours on a Thursday, and he's going for listings. And so this
Okay.
guy's carrying 30 listings at any point in time, and he's in Arizona.
Right.
So when someone says, I'm
Yeah.
not where I want to be financially,
Yeah.
and I say, well, have you considered doing 16 open houses a month for 6 months just to juice your pipeline,
Yeah.
and also dedicate 2 days a week to door knock ahead of time? And I
Wow.
can almost guarantee you're going to make 300 to 500 grand. And I've
Yeah.
told this to hundreds of people, Sean.
Yeah.
0 have taken me up on it.
Right.
When I
Right.
say hundreds and 0, I am not exaggerating. This is not a
Wow.
hyperbole.
Wow.
So, Sean, when I hear that people are not hitting their income goals,
Yeah.
I start to get a little numb to it because
Yeah.
they aren't taking enough action. And it
Right.
seems like the gap between I want it and I'm willing to go for it is pretty
Yeah.
wide.
Yeah. Hey, we hope you're enjoying this podcast. We do this every single week, talking to industry leaders in real estate, mortgages, and AI. We want to see you thrive, and Renown Mortgage wants to partner with you in making you absolutely successful. Listen, I just watched an MIT report just recently that talked about 50% of the people who are investing billions right now into AI are going to roll it back in 2027. Why? You cannot replace the human element. The ads and all of the scroll stopping things that are saying, listen, create a digital version of yourself. As you've seen throughout our podcast with industry leaders, they're saying you are replacing the best gift that you have, your humanity. We use powerful videos and powerful AI not to replace you, but to make you and your business better. And also at Renown Mortgage, we are here to make you the hero in your story with your clients when it comes to the real estate purchase and mortgage purchase side. So enjoy the rest of this podcast. But if you are wanting help in having an advocate and an ally come alongside you to make your story and your humanity thrive and pop, don't hesitate to reach out here. Now get back to that podcast. We'll talk to you soon. I think it's that mindset, that belief system, and part of it is there's a couple of things I want to talk about, and maybe let's take a little bit of a hard right turn, and then I want to come back to this because I think what we're talking about is amazing right now. But I know I've got limited time with you today, so I want to touch on, you've been in it since 2014. How have you seen buyers change? And I think that will help us a little bit understanding from the agent perspective, but how have you seen buyers change? The buyer experience has changed, obviously, with technology, and now even we're introducing a new transition with AI entering the real estate market. Have you found that, I think I know the answer, regardless of how the buyers have modified and changed their existence, you've found your lane and you're kind of unfazed, or have you kind of changed with them as well?
Buyers haven't changed much, to be honest with you. I don't see a large amount of buyers selecting their agent from ChatGPT yet. I think
Yeah.
that's coming. And
Yeah.
I know it has happened. There's plenty of analogies of that happening, but
Yeah.
as of right now, buyers are pretty straightforward, and the national surveys prove that out. They're going to overwhelmingly select an agent from their referrals, like
Right.
friends, family, colleagues,
Yeah.
and then Zillow, and there's a very small percentages from open houses, and yet somehow I make 400 to 500 grand a year from opens every year.
Wow.
And a lot of my new agents are crushing it. I told you a story last weekend. I had a brand new listing that came to market, and
Right.
I let a friend of mine do it. It was a $1.2 million listing. Meanwhile, I'm at a $3.4 million new construction listing that they offered me first weekend because I've
Right.
built that level of trust.
Right.
And I had 20 groups through. I set up 4 appointments, 2 listing appointments, 2 buyer appointments. I signed the 2 buyers,
Yeah.
3.5 million, 3.5 million. They're
Yeah.
signed. It's under
Yeah.
contract. Now
Yeah.
we're shopping for homes. We're looking around. So imagine generating $150,000 from one open house.
Right.
Like, the people are out there. Now, to be fair, some opens were dead last weekend. I
Right.
happen to have
Right.
been very strategic, fostering this relationship with this builder for years so that they give me first weekend. That's something that you can be
Yeah.
strategic on as well. But for years and
Yeah.
years, I didn't have that relationship. I still made really good money from opens, call it
Yeah.
300, 400,
Right.
because I just called and called during COVID. I made every agent on my team, and I had a big team,
Right.
call for opens, and homes sold in 2 seconds. So they had to call 50 agents to get an open. No,
Wow.
no, 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 no. And then eventually they got their open. And
Yeah.
so again, it comes down to putting forth more effort, or
Right.
you say, hey, I want to be a video guy. There's
Right.
people across the country who make huge money from video marketing.
Right.
Well, then
Right.
we need to put out X number of videos on a
Yep.
consistent basis, and
Yeah.
you need to boost those videos and somehow become a master at
Yeah.
interacting with your people that are commenting on your, like, you need to really master this thing.
Yeah.
One of my friends makes money from just doing events, 3 or 4 or 5 events. I do 2, but we're talking like every other month there's an event and we're inviting people, and okay, cool. Then get really good at that.
Yeah.
And that's just the thing, back to the concept of, it all works if you work.
If you
Um,
work. Yeah.
it doesn't work immediately, and that's
Right.
the part that's discouraging.
Yeah.
It feels like it's not working. It's like a boulder,
Yeah. And you're
you know,
yeah, no, it is. You're pushing it. And I think one of the things with you touched on video, which obviously is my space. And I've had videos. Videos are such a weird beast sometimes because I was talking to another AI marketer friend of mine, and I was telling about this video that I had that went viral lately, and it was the dumbest thing. I mean, it wasn't even the one. Like, I've got a million videos that should have gone viral before this one, but this one went viral, and all of a sudden I was walking into this place, and I was with my daughter, and there were some people pointing at me, going, "Hey, you're that guy," and I was like, "Yeah, no, it's funny." And my daughter's like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "It's this," and it was almost like a letdown inside, but it was like, part of it is the reason it happened is I've been pushing a boulder for years,
yeah,
and so you just never know what's going to hit, and then you think one should hit and it doesn't hit, but it's that
yeah,
consistency and the continuity that I'm going to batch an
yep,
hour's worth or 2 hours worth of content this week. We're going to get it. We're going to push it out, and eventually you just end up on someone's radar that you never expected to. So to
yep,
to that end, Adam, you talked earlier about, the mortgage was the incentive at that time when you were working, back when you were cold call or dialing
yep.
for closing. Were you always wired this way? Was this a muscle that you had to develop?
I've
Some
been
people are just
cold
geared that
calling
way.
now. I'm gonna date myself because I got this baby face. This is not assuming, but 20 years. I've been cold calling since
Wow.
my mid 20s, and I was terrible at it. I
Uh-huh.
almost got fired at my first sales job, but I
Okay.
I went and bought some books and I read how to do it, and I figured out I was being obnoxious and pushy, and I figured out, oh, you're supposed to ask questions and listen and solve people's
Right.
problems. That's how to
Right.
sell stuff, not be pushy and obnoxious. Oh, I didn't know. I was a kid.
Right.
So no, cold calling I don't even cold call anymore, but I'm fantastic at it, but it's a
Right.
very painful skill to learn.
Yeah, for sure.
I think video is a painful skill to learn. Open
It is.
houses
Yeah.
is a pain. I
Yeah.
think most sports are painful to learn. Most
Yeah.
musical instruments are painful to learn.
Right.
So, all this stuff is not free, but once you get it, it really is very easy. It's not
Yeah.
rocket science to do anything in life once you figure it out. I think
Yeah.
most of us just have to figure out what they want and push through it. Now,
Yeah.
I want to talk about one thing that we haven't touched on, and that is systems and leverage.
Okay.
So, one thing that I was not always wired this way, but I had a few good mentors that helped me get this way, is to understand that, systems make the ordinary extraordinary. I grew up on
Agreed.
food stamps. I have no college degree. I'm not wildly talented. But what I've done is I'm a hard worker and I'm a homing missile. And I just go and go and go and go.
Love it.
Um, Now the systems have allowed me to do what I do. I've learned to let go. I have 3 virtual assistants at this point. I used to have a big team with 18 agents and 6 employees, and
Yeah.
it was a lot, man. My payroll was 250 grand a year, not counting
Right.
myself.
Right.
And once I got rid of that and I just went all virtual, it allows me to stay in my lane with sales and marketing. And
Right.
the only way that it's not an instant thing, but you have to be able to let go and you have to be able to say, okay, you're my admin, you're my marketing person, and be able to kind of interact with those employees and get them like I don't even do meetings with my employees now. We've been together so long that it's just if I need them and I know
I
I can
get it.
check
Yeah.
you working,
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
you're working,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's because of the system. And
Right.
I say most agents fall into a few categories. Number one, they're struggling to make money.
Yeah.
They don't need an assistant. They
Right.
need consistent lead generation. The second group is an emerging group of agents that's selling 10 or 15 units a year. They're making some money. They might need a transaction coordinator, and some of them are
Right.
still do it all themselves.
Right.
They probably need some more consistent lead generation and maybe a TC. Then you've got your people who are emerging top performers making 20, 25 units a year. And these are people who need an assistant. And the problem is an American assistant's going to be 60 to 80 grand a
Totally.
year.
Totally.
And it just breaks when especially if your price points are not my price points. Like,
Right.
okay, you made 250 and you paid out 75, that breaks. That
Right.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And so that's where virtual assistants come in. And I've been
Totally.
using virtual assistants for 6 years.
Yeah.
I have my oldest employee's been with me for 6 years. He's my first guy. He's still with me from
Wow.
Kenya.
Wow.
And it's amazing. And so
Yeah.
I actually started having so many friends come to me asking me about this subject that I started my own company called White
Yeah.
Glove Hiring.
Yeah.
And I help agents and other related real estate industries get
Right.
help. And I think that that's been my biggest excitement right now. I'm still selling. I have about 22 million pending close this year in real estate. So it's
Sure.
not like I'm not doing good, but
Yeah.
this is really where probably half my time is going
Wow.
because yes, the money's less, but it's so fulfilling to me to see a struggling agent who they passed
Yeah.
the ceiling, they got business, they passed that ceiling, they
Yeah.
passed the second ceiling, they've got consistent lead generation, but now they're thinking about quitting real estate because they're burned out. Wait a minute,
Right.
you're gonna
Right.
quit because you're broke, but now you're gonna quit real estate because you got money? Like this
Right.
doesn't make sense. And I actually was there a couple times where I'm like
Right.
making 500, 700 grand a year. And I'm like, maybe I should go back and work in the corporate world. It's too hard.
Wow.
But the leverage and the systems is what most people
Yeah.
miss to avoid
Yeah.
quitting. And so
Oh,
that's
yeah.
that's new venture. That's what we're doing is adding
That's amazing.
systems and leverage to people's businesses. And it's amazing, man. We're saving people's careers.
Oh yeah, no, I can't amen what you say about a VA enough. And it's a journey, right? Because when you start with a VA, you're actually having to, turn over things that are important to you or things that you've been doing yourself and to train them and to get them to, value it as much as you do and understand it. And you're almost kind of like transporting your brain and way of thinking. But once you've done that, now I wake up every single morning to a list of, hey, Sean, this is what you're doing today. And by the way, I mean, even for this podcast here, do you want me to email Adam and just let him know? I'm like, yes, please. And I mean, so many things that I don't have to think about that get moved off my plate because someone's actually thinking on those, the logistical side
Yep.
for me. And when you're like me and you're a little ADHD and you're just running 150 miles an hour and talking to people and your phone's always ringing, there's things that are just bound to get by. So when you set up those systems in place, so no, I agree with you 100%. We'll link the white glove in the
Yeah,
comments below. That'd be amazing.
whiteglovehiring
Yeah,
is
be
the
amazing.
website. But I would say like for people that are successful, the biggest hang up is letting go.
Yeah,
They feel like
100%.
nobody can do it as well as them, and they're probably right. I mean, you're probably better on a lot of things than your VA is, but if they could get 80% as good as you, and
Yeah,
then you could get that time back to do more valuable things,
100.
your life
Yeah,
is better. And the
yeah,
average consumer is not going to pick up on that little difference.
yeah,
If they do, then it's your job to coach your employee up and get
yeah,
better.
yeah,
Inspect what you expect,
yeah.
trust but verify. And so that's a
Right.
whole skill set. Being an employer is a skill set. You
Yeah,
don't just dump everything on somebody. You get them,
No.
little by little by
Yeah.
little. But
Yeah.
imagine people that imagine if Jeff Bezos was trying to run Amazon by himself. Like, it just doesn't
Right.
make any sense for
No.
real estate agents to feel like they have to show every house, they have to write every offer,
Yeah.
they have to generate every lead. They have to do all the paperwork like that. Like,
Right.
why would you go to your dentist or your doctor's office and the doctor's running the credit card and the doctor, your hygienist? I mean, it's just like, this
Right.
guy's broke. Like, if this
Right.
guy's doing all this stuff, where's your team?
You got your teeth done at a farmer's market. Congratulations. Way to
Yeah.
go.
But,
No.
people just can't let go. Agents can't let
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it is too, is that there really is a truth to saying, you're in business for yourself. And part of any growing business, if you're going to scale, you've got to be able to have people start carrying the things so that you can focus on scaling. I mean, the greatest inhibitor to scaling is not being able to time management, or not to be able to handle your time management because you've got no room to breathe, dream, calculate. There is no risk taking because you're busy, like you said, swiping the credit card. So, I know we're rolling up here on the end. This has been absolutely amazing. Please, you've got to come back because I feel like there's more stories to touch on. I know you've got such experience with teams in this real estate space. And I know on the practical side, we've talked about executing open houses and market expertise, which those are top notch. If you were taking notes today on this podcast and you came away with just that, you've got something to, wake up tomorrow morning and potentially execute a different experience for your real estate business. But when it comes to mindset, which is a big area for me, I love the area of mindset. I love the area of battling the negative thoughts and telling what's true and finding a way to execute. When you're talking to agents who are, in the grind and they can't even find that gear to grind, but they've got all the potential in the world. It's not an issue of potential, it's just an issue of mindset. What's a couple of the things that you give them to kind of help them make that shift?
Well, I think it's so important is for them to really start with the end in mind. Why are you
Mm,
in real
good.
estate? There's
Good.
a lot of ways to make money.
Yeah.
And, sometimes real estate is not the best way to make money. It
Huh.
doesn't mean if, I had a mentee that I personally trained who just decided to hang his license up. It doesn't mean I did a bad job. It doesn't mean he did a
Right.
bad job.
Right.
He just figured out, oh, I have to do that to win. I don't want to do that to
Yeah.
win.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I
Yeah.
actually encouraged him. I said, well, here's some alternative ways to make money. And that's okay. But if someone says, I want to do real estate because I want to eventually make X dollars and work for myself and build XYZ and own some rentals, whatever it is, raise a family, pay whatever your why is, it better be big enough because real estate's painful.
Yeah.
And so I really want to start with the end in mind and say, well, why are you doing this? And what are your alternatives?
Yeah.
Because I'm not the guy that says everybody has to grind for 70 hours a week to be me. That I have no kids. I have no commitments. I'm
Right.
this that can go hard. And if you
Right.
try to, you'll get divorced and you'll probably
Right.
get problem.
Right.
So I don't recommend everybody does what I did. So we got to
Right.
figure out, why are you doing this? And
Yeah.
okay, so let's say that this is the best path for you. What kind of income level would allow you to feed your family and buy a house and take a few vacations? Like, what to do the things you want to do without having a terrible life because you work too much. And
Right.
so that would be my advice, is start with the end in mind. And let's say, instead of saying I want to sell 20 homes, I really hate when people say that.
Hmm.
And then next year I want to sell 22. Why? And next year it's 27. Why? Well, because I don't know. I just want to make more money. Okay, so you don't want to sell more homes. You want to make more
Right.
money.
Right.
Okay, so should we raise our price point? Should we flip a house? Should we invest in the stock market? It's up 27% year over
Right.
year.
Right. 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 Right.
Grand in, and it spits out 127 grand last year in the stock
Right.
market. And
Right.
so, like, I think if people would think with the end in mind, and they would be better off in real estate. And then if they go, no, this is the path I want to be on,
Right.
that great. Let's talk about what it takes to win. And it's a lot more work up front, and it gets much better down the road.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. See, I think that having the end in mind really does make, to use your example from earlier, the 8 hours walking through the Arizona heat makes sense,
Right.
because it's not about the moment as much as it is, hey, this is where I want to go. And having a goal is
That
massive.
guy's is building his dream home right now at,
Wow.
30 years old, 3 years in the business, you
Wow.
know, 1.5, $2 million home in the desert. Like that's probably a $5 million home here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and he's got a young family and his wife's on board and the kids aren't there yet. So he's got the energy. Now,
Yeah.
that's not everybody. We're not all
Right.
of us. I can't convince people to go door knock. Like
Right.
I've told people over and over again, this guy is making millions door knocking. They're like, not gonna do it. Cool. What about an open
Thank you.
house? Want to do some
Yeah.
open houses? Like
Yeah.
that works too.
Yeah.
So, real estate is a funny thing. There's a million ways to make
Right.
money, but you have to pick one or two and go
Yeah.
hard. That's it.
Go
You got
in.
to go hard.
Yeah.
And by the way, every year, Sean, I look at a spreadsheet that I built with all my deals, and on the right-hand column, it says, where did they come from? And then
Yeah.
I look and I say, what's working for me?
Right.
And what did I enjoy?
Yeah.
And sometimes things that are working are not my favorite. Like I'm a fantastic cold caller, and I actually don't mind it, to be
Yeah.
honest, but I kind of like opens better and I'm getting a lot of referrals now.
Right.
But if you said door knocking versus cold calling, I get anxiety with door knocking.
Sure.
I feel like
Sure.
someone's going to be upset at me. I don't
Yeah.
know why. So
Yeah.
I actually get very anxious door
Yeah.
knocking, and I found out I don't care if it was $2 million. I'm not going to door knock. So
Okay.
I don't hold it against people who don't want to
Yeah.
do it either.
Oh,
But
100%.
but
100%.
I'm not going to do it. So
Yeah.
every year, what's working for me
Right.
and what did I enjoy? And I kind of course correct based on those two metrics.
I was sitting on a Vulcan 7 training call one time, and there's probably 30 or 40 people, and I had just been invited. Somebody had called me and asked if I'd be interested in the Vulcan 7, and I'm not afraid of cold calling. I've been a closer. I used to dial when I was when I was young, selling warranties for old VCRs. So I mean that dates me. So now you know how old I am. Extended warranties was my thing. So I just wasn't afraid. I've heard it all, and so I thought I'm going to try cold calling. And so I got invited into this Vulcan 7 meeting, or 60 people, and the guy's talking, and these are people who actually have already paid for the program. And he said, okay, anybody want to do a live role play? Now, I've only been sitting there for like 20 minutes, and these are people who've already paid for it. No one. He's
Yeah.
like, does anybody want to role play? No one. No one peeps. No one raises their hand, anything. So I kind of sheepishly go, I'll do it. And he's like, great. And he goes, what's your name? Is Sean. He goes, how long you been doing this? No, I just got invited in. He's like, you don't even own the program. I said, no, I don't, but I've been listening to you. So let's let it run. And I did it. And it was so much fun that I just thought I can do this. And the terror that everyone always, you're going to get people who are going to yell at you and start cussing at you and I've never had anyone cuss at me, yell at me or anything. It's always been just a pleasant, like, hey.
Same
But
is true with door knocking. Most people are actually nicer in
right.
person. On the
But you
phone.
just get in your own head that you're just going to get destroyed. And so you just don't do it.
Same with open houses. People are terrified, and most people are very, very nice.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
this is real estate. It's a people business, and I
Yeah.
think you could say a contact sport.
Yeah. 100%.
And it's really pretty simple. And what I've learned, this is just me, and I'm in an area that's wealthy, so I can sell my home. I told you early on in my career, I sold my home, and I could do that and move 45 minutes away and make double the money. That's not the case for everybody. If
Yeah.
you're in Midwest Ohio, or, you're in Oklahoma, you're even in Central Washington, you're going to go 45 minutes and it's still going to be a $300,000 house.
Yeah.
So
100%.
not everybody can do that. At that point, you got to figure out your game. Is it
Yeah.
mailers? Is it open houses? Is it one of my friends goes to all the charity events and donates money and kisses the babies and all the
Right.
small town parades in Central
Right.
Washington. And dude, she's all in the small kissing like babies, taking care of old people who are sick. Like she's just the nicest lady in town. And
Right.
she sells 60 homes a year. And I'm like,
Wow.
cool. We don't do that in the big city, but I like
Right.
So moral of the story is you've got to adapt to your surroundings
Yeah.
and do more activities than you think you would need to do.
Yeah.
It's quite a bit more than people think they need to do.
Yeah. But if you choose it, pick the lane, stay in it, and don't take the off ramp. Just get in there.
And then it gets easier. Like I
Yeah.
say, I'm at a point now where the momentum, I thought it was going to be at the 5-year mark, and really at 5 years, I probably could have coasted at 300 grand a year. It's
Sure.
great. But
Sure.
if you want to coast at 700 or a million, I just kept redoubling down, and
Wow.
here we are, 11 years later. I could probably coast at about 5 or 600 at this point because
Sure.
I've got the past clients that are
Enough
just
momentum. Yeah.
bigger and bigger. And so,
Yeah.
the average person could get into real estate right now, grind for 2 years, and be 20 hours a week the rest of their lives and be
Right.
just fine.
Yeah.
But you got to go plant the seeds to harvest.
You got to go hit hard. Yeah. Adam, this has been amazing. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We are definitely going to have you on again because I feel like we hit one lane and I feel like there's a super highway somewhere. So we're just going to find it. So appreciate so much. Hey, if you found any value, please like, share, subscribe, all the good things. We love doing this for you guys. And again, Rise by Renown. There's a reason that we are here. We're here to cause agents to rise. If you find yourself in that video space and you don't know what the heck to do, you listen to Gary Vee say 51% of you should be doing video. Yeah, we can help. We got solutions. So Adam, again, thanks a lot, my friend, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You got it.